tonight, Chris Leach from the Office of Christian Services and Mary Kraus, Christian Service Coordinator at St. Lawrence Parish. Are you here with us?
Hi there.
We're here.
Good evening.
Fantastic. Chris and Mary, we're blessed to have you here this evening. Could you start by telling us a little bit about yourselves and how you got started in Christian service, what your history with Christian service is?
So I can start. My name is Chris Leach. I'm the coordinator of the Office of Christian Services. And I am new to the Office of Christian Services, like some of my other colleagues here that have been on tonight. I call it my battlefield promotion, that when the pandemic hit, the Archdiocese needed someone to serve in this role. So Father Steve Pullis asked me to help out. And I've been so blessed to get to know all the Christian service ministers of our Archdiocese. The Office of Christian Service, we support all of the Christian service coordinators, food pantry coordinators, parish counselors, parish nurses, home visitors, our fraternal organizations like the Knights of Columbus and St. Vincent de Paul, just all the people who do great things to take the gospel to those in need and to be witnesses to God's mercy. So it's just been great in these last couple months to be able to serve.
Yeah, Chris, so at my parish at St. Aloysius in Detroit, I know during the pandemic, your office kind of teamed up with us and with Catholic Charities of Southeast Michigan. There was kind of a one big food bank at the Church of the Divine Child. So just tell us what your ministry has looked like for the past 6 months or so.
You know, what a blessing. We were amidst the pandemic here in the Archdiocese of Detroit, so blessed that the Knights of Columbus came forward with a very generous donation. And with our friends at Catholic Charities, we were able to collect and redistribute over $200,000 worth of food and cleaning supplies and other things that our parishes needed. Divine Child was so gracious in offering use of their field house. So we were able to set up a distribution center. We have 52 food pantries operating in our parishes here in the Archdiocese of Detroit, and none of them were forced to close for lack of resources during this really crazy time of pandemic. So we're so blessed, and our Christian service ministers were the most creative people that I've ever met in terms of, you know, Father Mara at your parish, rigging sound systems to be able to meet with people through, storefront windows, and we had sisters who would put plastic tables up to convent windows to slide grocery bags down. And, just the gospel was going to be preached and people were going to be served regardless of what the pandemic did. And I'm just so proud of all of our Christian service ministers for what they were able to do during this time.
Mary, could you tell us a little bit about who you are and your role as a Christian service coordinator, how long you've been at St. Lawrence?
Yes, my name is Mary Kraus. I've been the Christian Service Coordinator here for 12 years. I have always had a heart for social service. When I got out of college, I worked in a homeless shelter. And so it kind of followed many years later when my husband, Joe, and I, we've been parishioners here at St. Lawrence for more than 25 years. And we both kind of looked at each other and said, it's kind of time to step up and maybe do a little more. And my husband joined St. Vincent de Paul, and I joined Stephen Ministry and eventually applied for the position here as Christian Service Coordinator. And I love it.
What's one highlight you've seen from the past 6 months with the pandemic, doing different ministry within your community?
It has really been so interesting for me because I would say that never has Christian service been needed more, but never has it been more challenging. When the pandemic first happened, we were scheduled to host MCRESS, which is the Macomb County Emergency Shelter Team. It's when churches host homeless for a week at their parishes, and we were scheduled to have 16 homeless men, women, and children here the Monday after Easter. So we had to quickly pivot and figure out how we could continue to help these men and women and children and the MCREST agency with their guests. So our team met, and we met with Father Roman, our pastor, and we decided that all the guests were moved to a hotel. We decided that we would offset as much of the hotel bill as we could. with financial support. And then we decided that we would bring a hot dinner to our guests every night. That had an unexpected benefit because this is mid-April, and so we decided to use restaurants down near the hotel that our McRest guests were staying at. And so our guests received these delicious meals, and the businesses and the restaurants that we used were so very grateful for our business because everything just come to a screeching halt. One of the things that I've been so touched by also is, when in March and April, all of our parishioners wanting to do something, and me trying to figure out how to do that, because the agencies and groups that I had normally worked with said, we need your help, we don't need your people, we need stuff, we need food, we need cleaning supplies, we need personal care items. And then sure enough, I see an email from Chris Leach saying, we're having this pantry food drive and we're collecting cleaning supplies. And then I got an email from Catholic Charities saying we are collecting food for homebound seniors. So I organized a donation drive here at our parish in early May and collected for all three of those. And it was kind of a drive up and drive off. So it was a really safe way for our parishioners to do something and for volunteers to work. And again, kind of another added benefit was our parishioners hadn't seen each other for a while. So as they're doing a loop through our parking lot, they're all yoo-hooing and hi and hello and great to see you. And they were so happy to see our priests. And, I was so aware of how important community and fellowship are to a parish and what it means to people and how it enriches their faith. And it was really, really quite awesome.
Chris, we know coming up here on October 17th is another Mercy in Action Day. So that's an event that's helped sponsored through your office and does a lot of great work in and throughout the Archdiocese of Detroit. So can you give us a little preview of that day?
Absolutely. Mercy in Action Day, it's really owned by our Christian service coordinators who just work so hard to plan at their parishes a Christian service event. So every parish is asked to identify a need in their local community and then identify a way that they can put Christ's mercy in action to meet that need. So we already have 22 parishes signed up, all with different service projects. We have a couple of vicariates working together, but to do various different projects. We'll be united together that day in prayer and in our effort to unleash the gospel. But there's still time to sign up. So if any parishes are still interested, they can contact our office. But we encourage everyone to check with your pastor and your Christian service director at your parish to see what your parish will be doing on October 17th as well.
When you were seeing just kind of the layout of our society with the pandemic, did you consider canceling Mercy Day in Action, or did you know that you were going to do it and you were going to figure out how to do it? What was kind of the attitude?
Christian service directors are not the type of people who cancel things, is what I'm learning, is that there's work to be done and they're going to do it. So no, we were very creative and we tapped a lot of people in the Christian service community to come up with a great list of service projects that could be done in a socially distant way, that could be done very safely. So the plans that we're seeing are all really solid to meet a real need, but also to be respectful of the needs of volunteers and safe for volunteers. So no, we have not seen any type of retreat whatsoever among our Christian service ministries through all of this. And I'm excited about what they have in store for the 17th.
Excellent. So Mary, part of our goal tonight is to help our parishioners here in the Archdiocese of Detroit, how their support of the CSA obviously helps on the diocesan level and then also trickles back into the parish through the work that people like Chris do in his office. So can you tell us again what your relationship is or how you interact in the Office for Christian Service at St. Lawrence Parish to that broader office on the diocesan level?
Over the years, I have benefited greatly from the support that the AOD has provided. When I first started here, I didn't have any background in Christian service, so they provided a lot of formation and classes, and that was instrumental and foundational for me. I personally benefit from the network of Christian service coordinators. There's a great exchange of ideas. Chris just recently organized all of us at a park in Waterford, I believe, and to kind of talk about things. And like, for instance, one of the big things we talked about was upcoming giving trees and sharing trees. How do we do that this Christmas season? But I think it's very important that Christian service coordinators have the support from the AOD, have someone that we can go to to get questions answered, to run ideas by, and also for formation, to help us in our ministry and our formation in Catholic social teaching and being strong in that. And that I think is critical and super important for us being successful at our jobs.
Mm-hmm. You know, Mary, tonight, both Marys, we are, highlighting certain ministries that the CSA supports. We obviously can't highlight all 170 of them, even in these 3 or 4 hours tonight. But Mary, something that you had touched on, and also some of our other guests as well, is the formation and the educational support that you get in so many of our lay ecclesial ministries. So there's a whole office of ministerial certification that CSA supports as well. So it's to help equip and support our lay ecclesial ministers in the trenches, as you say, Mary, on the parish level. So Chris and Mary, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. And we know that works of service manifest God's love to our communities, and the work that the two of you do and the hundreds and hundreds of volunteers do would not be possible without the generous support of all of those people watching here tonight and all of our brothers and sisters who join us at our parishes. So once again, a reminder to please consider making a donation to support Christian services, and again, the more than 170 ministries here in the Archdiocese of Detroit. What's the address, Mary? How do people make that donation?
In order to make a donation, you can go to www.aodgivingday.org, and we're encouraging people to write inside your message. There's a space to say which office that you're particularly interested in. What have you been inspired by, maybe even tonight as you've heard different stories. So make sure to share with us. That information is good to know as a diocese, the things that excite and inspire us.